Greetings and welcome. I'm so glad you could come in today for your private tea tasting. We have several different teas for you to try. I have small teacups that I purchased in Malaysia, and they're perfect for tasting because they are only a sip or two of each tea. I'm going to tell you about each kind of tea that we'll be tasting today. I feel the best tea taste comes from loose teas. So I purchase my teas from Teavana, and they provide great detail about each type of tea, as well as the specific tea you purchased and the brewing instructions for each tea. So we'll be following their instructions. I have several different ways of brewing loose tea. When I want to make a lot of tea, especially for iced tea, I will often use a French press, which is traditionally used for coffee, but I found it works just as well for loose tea. And I will pour the leaves into the French press, fill it up with water, let it steep for the amount of time, and then press down the French press. This is especially good for herbal teas, or if they steep for longer, it's okay. It just enhances the flavor. It doesn't tend to get bitter. So we'll start off with an herbal tea that I've made using the French press. Herbal teas are made from the best ingredients for Teavana. They can be sweet or spicy, and they tend to have something for everyone. I brew them a lot as iced teas. They're also a nice non-caffeinated option for tea. They're also nice for children as they aren't caffeinated, and for small children who you don't want to be drinking sugary juice, but they would like something other than water. Some of the fruitier herbal teas are very nice. These teas are made from ingredients so fresh you can actually eat them. With Teavana, you can see often in the bags that they have dried fruit in them, and they really are beautiful teas to look at and smell. They smell wonderful in the bag. You can keep them in a tea canister. It's preferable to keep them in a tea canister, but when you bring them home, originally they tend to come in bags. Herbal teas are a delicious source of antioxidants and vitamins. They blend well with other teas for added flavors and benefits. And today we will be tasting the Peach Tranquility Herbal Tea. This tea is made with peach and pineapple, as well as chamomile and lemon myrtle. The taste is fruity and citrusy and peachy. It's a lovely drink as iced tea as well as hot tea. in order to prepare this tea, you want to use 1.5 teaspoons of tea per 8 ounces of water. Heat the water just to boiling, and then steep the tea for 5 to 6 minutes. For stronger flavor, you can use more tea leaves. The ingredients include apple pieces, candied pineapple pieces, rosehip peel, peach pieces, peach flavoring, sunflower petals, lemon myrtle, and Roman chamomile. So I'll pour some from the French press, and you can try that. It's really nice. It's a light flavor, but you can definitely taste the citrus and floral undertones. Do you like that? Yes, it is lovely. Now we'll move on to our rooibos teas. I tend to make rooibos with a little tea ball. I don't feel, since it's a bark, that the tea ball tends to harm it, but because the rooibos is often in small pieces, if you don't have a very fine sieve, those pieces tend to come out into your tea. So I find that the tea ball keeps all of the pieces in. I have a square tea ball and also a round tea ball, and a heart-shaped tea ball that clips, almost like tongs. So I have in the square tea ball some rooibos. Rooibos teas are herbal infusions made from a South African red bush, and they're sometimes called red tea. There's also green rooibos tea that are just as delicious as the popular red teas. Rooibos teas are delicious iced or hot and come in a wide variety of flavors. Rooibos may support the immune system, promoting well-being. It helps promote digestion. It may provide relief from an upset stomach, and they're also naturally caffeine-free. So these are also good for children, and make nice iced teas as well. Today we're going to try what is probably my favorite tea from Tivana. It makes a wonderful iced tea, and it's called Opus Rouge Rooibos tea. You would use 1.5 teaspoons of tea per 8 ounces of water, and again heat the water just to boiling and steep for 5 to 6 minutes. You can use more leaves for a stronger flavor. And the ingredients in this are grapes, hibiscus flowers, green rooibos, grape slices, citrus peel, plum pieces, and then grape, cherry, red currant, vanilla, orange, and lemon flavoring, black currants, blackberries, red currants, morello cherries, stevia leaves, which make it naturally sweet, and vanilla pieces. So I'll pour some of this into our little tasting cup. I do have this one chilled, so you can taste it as an iced tea. Isn't that nice? I make it all the time, and children really like it because it is naturally sweet with the stevia, and it's got all of the berries in it. You can really taste the sweet and crisp grape, and then the blackberry and cranberry flavoring with a vanilla finish. It's really a lovely, lovely tea, and it creates a scarlet red hue from all the berries. So now we'll move on to some of our caffeinated teas. We'll start off with a white tea. I've made this in just one of my teapots. It's got a sieve at the end so that when you pour it, the tea leaves stay in. And white teas are appreciated by tea connoisseurs for their unmatched subtlety, complexity, natural sweetness, and delicacy. They are the least processed, so they pick the leaves and then they're steamed and dried. And these teas have very little caffeine, although they do have a slight caffeine. This is what I tend to drink when I need a little boost in the afternoon, but I don't want a lot of caffeine that will make it difficult for me to sleep. These are a delicious source of antioxidants. They may support healthy skin and complexion. They can promote detoxification and body hydration. They're low in caffeine and have approximately 1% of the caffeine in a cup of coffee. So today, we're going to try the Berry Basil Blast white tea. This is also a beautiful tea with large chunks of dried fruit. And you would again use 1.5 teaspoons of tea per 8 ounces of water. But you would only heat the water to 175 degrees, so not quite boiling. And you would steep this for only 2 minutes. And again, it has a much lighter flavor because the water isn't heated to boiling and it's steeped for much less time. So the ingredients are pineapple pieces, white tea, apple pieces, hibiscus flowers, basil, orange slices, strawberry, raspberry, pineapple, blackberry, tangerine, orange, and lemon flavoring. And this is a really complex tea, although it is light, because you have the juicy blackberries and strawberries, pineapple, orange, and lemon, along with the sweet, savory basil. So it's a really unexpected flavor combination. I've already poured this one into a glass because I didn't want it to steep too long, and it's still warm. So I will share a glass of this with you. There you go. Yes, this one is really an interesting taste. It's got the multi-berry flavor and some citrus, but then that sweet basil taste. That's so interesting. It's very uplifting with those citrus flavors as well. I think this one is a really interesting taste. Okay, and now we will move on to one of our green teas. Green teas have a delicious taste, and it can be paired with other fruits and spices, and it's a very healthy treat. It provides a lot of antioxidants. It may aid in boosting the immune system. It can also help maintain a healthy blood sugar level, and it contains 5 to 10% of the caffeine in a cup of coffee. So for this one, we're going to have the Jasmine Dragon Phoenix Pearls. These are little rolled pearls. They're hand-rolled pearls of green tea leaves, so they slowly unfold as they are steeped in the hot water. So again, you're going to use the 175 degree water, so not quite boiling, but for this you're only going to use 1 teaspoon of tea per 8 ounces of water. And this is just a basic green tea, but it's naturally scented with jasmine blossoms. So these are some of the youngest green tea leaves, and they're scented 6 to 8 times with blossoms of fresh jasmine. It's very fragrant and sweet. 3 leaves are taken and hand rolled into these little balls, and they produce a sweet floral flavor. So I'm going to pour some of this. Again, I've just steeped some of this in a teapot for you, and I will pour the rest of it into a mug so that it won't oversteep while we're tasting. The flowery taste is very nice, but it is just a mild green tea. I think green tea has such a fresh flavor on its own that I often like it just plain without being mixed with any berries or other types of tea. It's often my favorite first thing in the morning tea. And again, it's nice and light, so it's not too heavy in the morning, but it gives you a little bit of a boost to wake you up, but you're not starting off with a big dose of caffeine. I'm not a big fan of caffeine, though I use it a little bit. I tend to prefer these lighter, slightly caffeinated teas. Now we're going to have an interesting black tea. Black teas are strong, and they're good alone or with milk and sugar. They make great iced teas. They do provide more caffeine, but not quite as much as coffee. They're energy boosting, and they may promote heart health. They also may help maintain healthy cardiovascular and circulatory system, and they contain 20% of the caffeine in a cup of coffee. So we're going to try something a little bit different than your standard Earl Grey or English breakfast, just to have something a little bit different. So what we're going to try today is the Golden Monkey black tea. This is a lovely looking tea too, with the leaves brown and black. And in order to make a black tea, you're going to use 1 teaspoon of tea per 8 ounces, so a little less than you would for an herbal or a white tea. And you are going to heat the water to 195 to 205 degrees. So it will be boiling, but you're only going to steep it for 2 to 3 minutes. Black tea can get bitter, so you want to make sure that it doesn't oversteep. And again, this is some of the finest black tea, and it's from the Fujian province. It was actually recently served at the White House to the President of the United States and the President of China. It's a smooth tea, rich with complex cocoa undertones, and manages to be extremely low in tannins, yet rich in flavor, so it should be flavorful but not bitter. This type of tea originated in the Song Dynasty. Its imperial tribute features golden-tipped black leaves consisting of 1 leaf and 1 bud. So I just poured some hot water in, let it steep while we were talking, so you can taste that. And again, I'm going to pour the rest of the steeped tea into a glass so that it won't oversteep. For people who say they don't like tea because it's bitter, it's often because Americans don't always drink a lot of tea, so when they do have tea, they often oversteep it. And they'll put a tea bag into a mug and let it sit there until the water cools. And if you're only supposed to be brewing something for 2 to 3 minutes, it's obviously being steeped too much if a tea bag is just sitting in the cup of tea. And we're going to end with a really bold tea that's becoming more popular in America, in the US, but is new to a lot of people. It's one of my favorite teas because I lived in Chile for a while and stayed with an indigenous family where we would pass around a gourd of mate most evenings. And I do have my silver mate straw from that time along with a gourd to drink out of. And although we don't make mate like that, I do still sometimes like to use my straw, just because it's fun to use. It's a long silver straw, and on the end is a sieve so that you can drink through the straw and you won't get the tea leaves. In Chile, we would fill a gourd almost halfway full with mate leaves and a lot of sugar, and we would pour boiling water in there and pass the mate gourd around the circle, and everyone would drink it. It would generally go to the elder family members first, out of respect, but they would also joke with me that it was because the first round is often very bitter, and it takes getting used to, so they would take the first most bitter sips, so that by the time it got to me, it had diluted a little bit, so it wasn't quite so strong. Mate is a wild shrub from Argentina. It makes a delicious, flavorful tea. Mate tea contains a stimulant similar to caffeine, although without the jitteriness or addictive tendencies. It is energizing, definitely wakes you up. It may help support appetite suppression, so it's a good tea if you're trying to diet. It's a delicious source of vitamins and minerals, and it has the same amount of caffeine as in a cup of coffee. So today we're going to try what's called My Morning Mate Tea. Again, this is a good replacement for coffee. If you want the caffeine, but you don't like coffee, it's also just a nice change if you really like that morning boost or that afternoon boost, but you want something other than coffee. So for mate, here we use 1.5 teaspoons of tea per 8 ounces of water, and you would heat water just to boiling, and steep for 5 to 6 minutes. And this will be a bold taste. It includes mate tea, some red rooibos tea, black tea, cocoa kernels, carob bits, citrus peels, chocolate pieces, almond, pistachio nuts, coriander, cactus blossom, hazelnut, sunflower petals, and then flavorings of chocolate, hazelnut, cream, coffee, caramel, almond, cinnamon, macadamia, nuts, pepper, safflower, and cornflower. So this is, as you can tell from the ingredients list, a very complex tea. It gives you a natural energy boost. It's a bit healthier than coffee because the stimulant is slightly different than caffeine and not as addictive. This is a nice sweet tea because of the cocoa and chocolate, almonds, pistachio nuts, macadamia nuts, and coriander. And it's also got some hazelnut and cinnamon. Really is a nice chocolatey, nutty tea. So I've poured some into this glass, and I'll give you the silver mate straw so you can taste that. Just place that in the cup. Have you had mate before? Yes, it is an interesting taste. This one is a nice mate to start off with if you're not used to mate, because all of the chocolatey and nutty additions make it a little bit sweeter, not as bitter as mate can be. The bitter taste can grow on you, but it's hard to get used to at first, especially if you don't drink tea very often. Tea is a lot about ritual for me. It's about the preparation, the utensils that I have. I collect teapots and teacups, and it's fun to pick out in the morning what teacup I will use, whether I really just want a big mug of tea or if I would like to use something a little bit prettier, and that I'd have to refill often from my teapot. I can bring my teapot to the breakfast table with me so that I can refill often without having to go get a new teapot. Do you have one of your favorite teas that we made today? Yes? Yes, I like that one a lot too. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this private tasting. I've enjoyed spending this time with you and talking a little about subject that I think is very relaxing and a nice addition to your day. Thank you so much for coming. Greetings and welcome. So you're here today for our chocolate tasting? That's wonderful. We have several different options of chocolates for you to try. First of all, does everyone have a glass of wine to go with their chocolate? Of course. Would you like white or red? Okay, let me pour that for you. Is that good? Okay, there you go. Alright, so you'll see you have a few different chocolates in front of you. Some are truffles, some are specialty creams, some are individually wrapped chocolates. These are all chocolates from Lake Champlain Chocolates in Vermont. They are all natural and they are all kosher. They have delicious chocolates and they're fresh and all natural. So you know you are eating something good for you. I do really believe that chocolate is a healthy part of your diet. Most of us want some sort of sweet, and I feel like chocolate is the most fulfilling option to have a sweet if you're craving one. And when they're all natural, especially dark chocolates, they have so many antioxidants that I feel they're good for your body. But we all need that little bit of chocolate now and again, and often with good chocolates a little goes a long way. Now for today, you may want to go slowly because we do have several chocolates we're going to try today. The first is a champagne truffle. It is very decadent, and it's a nice one to start off with. It has a dark ganache with a touch of champagne, a little effervescence in every bite. So if you want, you can open that now. And have a taste. That is delicious. Do you like that? I like dark chocolate, so that's one of my favorites. Have a sip of wine. See how the chocolate goes with the wine. And these are all small truffles, just so you don't get overwhelmed with too much chocolate, if there is such a thing. The next one we will try is also a dark chocolate. It's called the legendary dark truffle. This is a classic 54% cocoa truffle, and it's guaranteed to please a real chocolate aficionado. So take a taste of that. I love that. Do you like that as well? How could you not? Let's have a sip of wine to cleanse our palates. And now, another palate cleanser. We're going to move on to the Evergreen Mint. This is a perfect balance of cool peppermint crunch and luscious dark chocolate. I hope you like dark chocolate. There's a lot of dark chocolates in this. So open that one up. Just makes you want to lick your fingers. Isn't that delicious? Okay. Now we're going to move on to a specialty cream. This is an orange green cream sensation. It's a dark chocolate shell filled with refreshing orange chocolate cream. Isn't that good? The chocolate cream, I think, is what really makes this chocolate. I am not a big fan of chocolates with vanilla cream or marshmallow cream. That's just me. But the chocolate cream is wonderful with that light orange taste. And now let's have a glass of wine. Sip of wine to cleanse our palates again. Would you like some more? Of course. Just a little bit more. Now we're going to move on to a few milk chocolates. The first is a hazelnut praline flour. This is hazelnut paste with finely crushed butter biscuits in a milk chocolate shell. Sounds wonderful. Tastes wonderful too. So open that up. Delicious. How are you holding up to so much decadence? You deserve it. Every now and again, it's good to totally treat yourself. And especially when you're on an outing like this. Alright, this is our final chocolate. But don't be sad. If you would like more, we have plenty more. And you can always purchase your favorites to take with you so that you can return to this experience when you're home as well. The final chocolate is a peanut butter cup. Everyone loves a peanut butter cup. Velvety, all-natural peanut butter nestled between layers of milk chocolate. It's just a peanut butter cup, but a peanut butter cup done right with the best ingredients is sometimes the most amazingly unique experience. Have you ever had a peanut butter cup like this before? I don't think so. Fantastic. Do you have a favorite? It is hard to choose. Often it depends on if you like dark chocolate or milk chocolate. Well, I'm so glad you could come in today. It was wonderful having you here. Yes, come back anytime and let me know if there's any you would like to take with you. Thank you so much. Greetings and welcome. I'm so glad you could come over today for a wine tasting. We're going to be trying several different wines from a local vineyard here, the Cooper Vineyard in Louisa, Virginia. I like to taste wines from local wineries so that if I like them, I can then go visit the winery and try the different wines there, and also get to take a tour and see the vines and see how they make the wine. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun to be able to go and do that, because whenever I drink the wine, I will remember the experience of visiting that vineyard and seeing how the wines were made, and the enjoyable tour and tasting there. So not only do I get the pleasures of drinking that wine again, but I also get to remember the experience of visiting the winery. So today we'll try these local wines, and then if you like them, maybe we can take a trip out to the winery someday. Does that sound good? Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about are the wine glasses. I know that you can learn a lot about why certain wine glasses are good for certain wines, and how the shape is supposed to enhance the aroma of the wine, and also the way the oxygen reaches the wine. But for me, the most important part of the wine glass is the way it looks. And what I mean by that is nothing looks like a wine glass. You would be unlikely to serve another drink in a wine glass. It is specifically a wine glass. And when it comes to relaxation, our mind is triggered by all of our senses. So that includes sight. And as a test, I want you to think about the glass or mug that you use for your morning drink, your morning pick-me-up. So it may be a cup of coffee, it may be a mug of tea, it may be a glass of orange juice. But I want you to just think about the glass or mug that you serve yourself those drinks. For me, when I picture a cup of coffee, it immediately wakes me up. It relaxes me a bit, because hopefully I'll be able to just sit and drink the cup of coffee. But the point of drinking the cup of coffee is to wake me up and get me ready for my day. And seeing a coffee cup reminds me of those feelings. And maybe it does for you as well. A glass of orange juice does the same. I would never drink a glass of orange juice except almost when I'm out to breakfast at a restaurant. So it brings brings up those feelings of sitting down to a breakfast with friends or family, and it's a lively drink for me, and it wakes me up. So now I want you to think about the glass you use for your last drink of the day. So it may be a glass of wine or beer, maybe a cocktail, it may be a cup of tea if you don't drink a lot of alcohol, but I want you to picture that drink that you use to signify the end of your day, the time to leave work at work, and start to relax and wind down for bed. Now for me, that drink is often a glass of wine, and just picturing a wine glass makes me relax and think about the end of my day. And one of the nice about wine and other alcohols, if you drink alcohol, is that not only does it relax me in terms of winding down my day, but the alcohol also helps to dull my concerns about work and other problems of the day. So I do have some nice wine glasses for us today to use. One wine glass for whites and one wine glass for reds. And I also have some crackers and cheese. And I encourage you to eat a cracker in between each of the glasses of wine to cleanse your palate. And then I also encourage you to take a drink of the wine by itself, and then have a bite of cheese and try it with the wine to see if that wine pairs well with the cheese. Wines are said to pair well with food when the taste of the wine enhances the flavor of the food, and the food enhances the taste of the wine. There are some wines that go well with certain foods, and you can taste that, but a lot of it is based on your preference. So if you have a specific wine preference, you'll probably enjoy that more with whatever you're eating than trying to just pair what's the quote-unquote appropriate wine for that food. So let's get started, and I will stop talking about the details so much, but I would encourage you to use all of your senses while we are doing this wine tasting. So do look at the glass, do look at the wine in the wine bottles, smell the wine. I have wines that I like the smell of, but I don't really like the taste of, and vice versa. So the best wines are the wines that I like the taste and the smell. And hopefully you can also taste your favorite wines as well. So we're going to start off with a white wine. We're going to try 2 white wines, a few red wines, and then end with a dessert wine. So we're going to start off with a Chardonnay. And I will pour a little tasting. So now swirl that around a little bit and smell. This is a white Chardonnay 2010, and when you smell, you may be able to smell the aromas of kiwi also, when you taste it, flavors of crisp citrus and melon. It should have a crisp, refreshing finish. This is a stainless steel Chardonnay. Means it was kept in a stainless steel barrel. So go ahead and have a taste. Let it linger on your tongue a little bit before you swallow to really get a good taste of it. And again, all of the flavors that I mentioned, you may or may not taste them. Different people taste different things in wine, and really it's just your preference as to whether you like that wine or not. So let's have another taste. You could try a piece of cheese if you'd like. See how you like that with the Chardonnay. Very nice, I think. How do you like it? Do you like that one? Yeah, I do too. Are you ready to move on to the next wine? Okay. So this next wine is another white, and it's called Coupertage Blanc. It's 2011. It's a silver 2012 Virginia Wine Lovers Magazine Wine Classic. It's also a silver 2012 Atlantic Seaboard Wine Association winner. And for this one, you should be able to smell some aromas of pear, again, and apple tart. And it melts with the creamy flavors of warm nectarine. I'll pour a little bit of that. There you go. And this is a blended wine. So, have a taste. Oh, that's nice. And sometimes it's nice to kind of slurp the wine a little bit so that you get more air in your mouth along with the wine. Just can change the taste a little bit. And you want to try that with a piece of cheese as well. Yes, it's very nice. So how do you think those two white wines compare? Do you like reds better? Okay. We're going to move on to the reds now. We're going to start off with a Cabernet Franc 2009. And this was a silver winner of 2012 Virginia Governor's Cup. Pour a little bit in the glass for you. I've got a new wine glass for you, so we're not mixing the whites and the reds. And one thing you want to look at with this wine is just the color. It's just a beautiful garnet color. And have a smell. Yes, isn't that nice? It's a light-bodied wine, and it should have aromas of fresh berries and the flavor of plum, early cherry, and cranberry. When you taste it, also has a hint of spice, and an interesting description of this wine is people say it has a leathery taste. So it's kind of that heavy rich taste that some people associate with leather. And it should have a smooth and lingering finish, so you should be able to taste it in the back of your mouth for a while after drinking it. So have a taste. Do you like that? Yeah, that's a nice one too. Do you want to try it with a piece of cheese? Red wines are often very nice with cheese. Can you taste any of the plum or cherry or cranberry? And if you can't, don't worry. A funny note is, wine tasters often use these adjectives, and in many ways they've found that we can't really taste that many things in one wine. So I think that it really depends on the person and what they can taste and what different wines make them think of. So there's no right or wrong in tasting wine. Okay. Are you ready for the next wine? Okay. We're going to try a Petite Verdot 2009. This was best in show for Red Chesterfield Celebration of the Vine. It has an enticing aroma of vanilla and blackberry. This is another one. Yeah, let me pour this out for you. This is another one that you really want to enjoy with your eyes too. It's a beautiful ruby color. And it's got a really mild structure and taste, and it has flavors of black cherry, caramel, and cassis, and it should have a soft finish after you swallow. The sommelier recommends that you pair this with duck or quail. Have a taste. I could see that this would go well with a rich bird like duck or quail. Do you like that? And try it with some cheese. Yeah, it is good with the cheese. I like this one very much. Okay. Are you ready for the final red? Okay. So let me pour that for you. And this is the Coupertage 2009. And this is a medium-bodied wine. And again, look at the beautiful deep garnet color. These reds have just gorgeous color to them. This has aromas of black currants, blackberries, mocha, and roasted pine nuts. Have a smell of that. It's very nice. The rich flavors and acidity make it a good wine to age. That's why this is one of the older wines. Reds are good for aging. And it's very food friendly. It can pair well with lots of different dishes like pasta or salmon or beef. So this is a good sort of all-around wine if you want to get a bottle for the table that everyone can share. And this is also a blended wine. So it's 67% Cabernet Sauvignon, 20% Petit Verdot, and 13% Merlot. To take a taste of that. It's got a bit more body than the Petit Verdot, but it's not too harsh. It's a nice, mellow wine. I like it very much. And try it with a piece of cheese, and I think you'll see how well it goes with foods. The smell is wonderful. Do you have a favorite yet? Okay, don't decide yet though, because we still have one more. I think that the Cooper Vineyards does wonderful sweet wines, dessert wines. And so we're going to try the Sweet Louisa. They also have another one called Rhapsody, which is also a very lovely sweet wine. So we're going to try the Sweet Louisa today. Are you ready for that? Okay, let me pour that for you. Alright. This is a blend of a few different grapes, Norton, Concord, and Vidal Blanc, and it has 6% residual sugar. The Concord grape flavors and aromas make this what they call grape juice with an attitude. So it doesn't taste too alcoholic. It tastes very sweet, but it's got a little bit of a kick. And I do sometimes like, with dessert, very fruity tasting wines. Sometimes I even like wines that are made from blueberries or different kinds of berries other than grapes as well. So I like this one. It's a nice change when you're moving on to dessert, to have something a little bit sweeter. So have a taste of that. And this is also one that you want to chill. It tastes lovely cold. Oh, wouldn't that be nice with like a hot apple pie? Or a creme brulee. Oh, that would be lovely. Oh, that's delicious. Did you like that one? Yeah, I did too. You don't want to drink a lot of it in a small glass, but it is lovely with dessert. And again, I think so much about wine is the experience. Sitting down and having a nice glass of wine with a friend or family is so fun. Yeah, did you enjoy this? You don't need to know a lot about wine. It's just fun. It's nice to taste and figure out your favorites. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about what you like. So it's always nice to try several different wines so you can figure out what you like. I don't think you need to be a genius about wine. You just need to know what you enjoy drinking and be able to order that so that you can enjoy a nice glass of wine out, or bring a nice bottle to friends at a dinner party. I'm glad you enjoyed this. maybe we could take a drive out to the winery someday. Okay, thanks so much for taking this time. Alright, bye-bye. Hello. My name's Jess. I'm so glad you could all come in today to your relaxed dessert for your wedding cake tasting. Now, I know I've met the bride and the groom, but can you introduce the rest of the party? Okay, it's nice to meet you. Well, we have several different cakes for you to try today. So I hope you're all hungry. Let's start off with some of the lighter cakes, so with more of the vanilla and old-fashioned white cakes, and then move into a few heavier cakes, so you shouldn't feel too full too fast. I've gotten you all some water. At the end we can have coffee or tea if you'd like it, but usually for the tasting it's best to have water to cleanse your palate. Okay? Well, if it's okay with you, just have a seat, get comfortable, and we'll start the tasting. Okay? Great. So we're going to start off with just an old-fashioned white cake. There are several versions of this cake, and I know that you've chosen to have us use the raspberry preserves, but if for some reason you don't like the raspberry preserves, we also make this cake with apricot preserves, strawberry preserves, Meridian berry, orange, or mocha. So if one of those strike your fancy, if you cake but are not a big fan of the preserves, we can try one of the other preserves as well. Okay, so this is 4 layers of white cake with the raspberry preserves in between each layer, and over top a meringue buttercream. So why don't you go ahead and taste that, and I'll have a little bite myself. Oh, I'm glad you like that. It's a very classic wedding cake. It's a very common choice. You get to customize it a little bit with the preserves that you choose. But again, it's a very traditional, classic cake that most of your guests will like. It's rare to have somebody who really does not like just an old-fashioned white cake. You think you want another piece now, but wait until we're on to our 5th or 6th cake, and you'll be glad you didn't have another piece. Okay. And do you want to take a little drink before we start on the next cake? Okay. So this is a strawberry banana cake. It's 4 layers of moist banana cake with strawberry preserves and a cream cheese filling. And this is a way you can taste the strawberry preserves. If you like the white cake, but you don't like the raspberry preserves, this is what the strawberry preserve tastes like. And we can always make you another tasting of the white cake with a different kind of preserves if you like this, but you can't imagine what it would taste like without the banana cake. So have a taste of that. That's one of my favorites. I really like fruit, and I think the banana cake is really unique. It's not something that you're going to have at every wedding. But it's got the flip side. Some people aren't going to like banana cake, but you're the bride and groom, so it's really based on what you like. But sometimes people, when they do this cake, if they're having a very large wedding, what they will often do is have one large cake that's more traditional, and then sometimes, in order to have enough cake for everyone, they will choose one or two other smaller cakes. So often people will do this as either one of the smaller cakes, or if they decide to do it as their large cake, they'll have a more traditional white cake or chocolate cake as one of their sides for people who don't like the banana cake. And isn't the cream cheese filling really decadent? Yeah. I love that cake. Okay, have a little drink. And now we're going to move on to the next cake in the tasting. This is a poppy seed citron. This has 4 layers of poppy seed cake with lemon citron and a cream cheese filling. Do you like that? I'm just going to take some notes here while we're talking. I want to be able to make any other suggestions based on what you like and don't like. Again, we can always do a second tasting if you like, certain kinds, but not certain fillings, or we can really play around with the different options. Yeah, a citron is kind of a custard, and it's usually lemon. Yeah, it's made from egg yolks and sugar. And it's a bit of a tartar filling than the preserves or the cream cheese, but I think it goes very well with the poppy seed cake. This is a really nice spring wedding cake because, again, it's got that little lemon citron, that little bite to it, and the poppy seed cake is light to go with it. So it's a really nice kind of, I think, a spring wedding cake. So I think it might work very well for you. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a special request that you had, which was for the red velvet cake. So this is 4 layers of red velvet cake layered with cream cheese filling. It's very traditional. It's a very traditional red velvet cake. Not a lot of people do red velvet cake for their wedding, but it's becoming more popular. Now, any of these that you like the red velvet cake, we can also make these into a really attractive smaller cake or cupcakes for a bridal shower as well. So I know a lot of brides are doing a tiered presentation of cupcakes for their bridal shower, and we have a very skilled artist here who does flowers that will go on top, sugar flowers that can go on top of each of the cupcakes. They're really gorgeous, and you can pick out, a lot of people pick out 3 or 4 different kinds of cake to have their cupcakes made out of, and the red velvet is very popular. So we would have a red velvet cake with the cream cheese frosting, and then we would have a sugar flower on top. But we also, again, like I said, are doing a lot more wedding cakes out of the red velvet as well. So I know you love red velvet cake, which is why I wanted to make sure to include it today. But again, it's becoming more popular, and it's fine to do something different. You know, you don't have to do the same as everyone else does. Oh, I'm glad you like that. It is a great red velvet cake. If you like red velvet cake, we do really make a wonderful red velvet cake here. And do you want to have another sip of water? Okay. And next, we're going to try our really unique carrot cake. This is another one that makes a really great cupcake if you decide you would like cupcakes or a smaller cake for a bridal shower. This is 4 layers of moist carrot cake with walnuts, raisins, and chunks of pineapple. Yep, that's what you're tasting. The pineapple isn't. It sounds like it might not go well, but it really is wonderful. And it's layered with a cream cheese filling. Do you like that? Good. Okay. And we've got a few more for you to try. So now we're going to try just a classical chocolate cake. This has 4 layers of chocolate cake with ganache and Belgian dark chocolate buttercream. So this is chocolate on chocolate on chocolate. So if you like the cake, but with the chocolate buttercream it's too much, we can also do a different kind of frosting. If you love the dark chocolate buttercream, we can also use that frosting on a white cake as well. I really like the chocolate on chocolate, but it is very rich, depending on what you're serving for dinner at your wedding. Sometimes this is too heavy for people. Other people really like this as a truly decadent closing to their wedding dinner. A lot of people who are not doing a full sit-down dinner, but are doing hors d'oeuvres or something like that, will sometimes choose a more filling cake like this. But again, it really is what you like. This is about your wedding, what you want. That's the most important thing. And again, if you're worried about guests, you can always do a few smaller cakes so that people have a choice if they don't want the chocolate on chocolate. Okay. Unfortunately, we are winding down. We have a few more for you to try. So, have a sip of water. And this is 3 layers. This is the this is the creamsicle cake. It's 2 layers of dark chocolate cake filled with a Belgian chocolate mousse, topped with orange mousse, and a slice of homemade white cake. So this is a really interesting cake because it's got the chocolate along with the white cake, along with the orange mousse. So you really get the best of all worlds. It's a very rich cake. It's a very decadent cake. But again, it also gives people the option of, if they prefer the white cake is in there, the chocolate cake is in there, the extra fruit flavor is in there. It's really a fantastic and unique cake. You're not going to get a cake like that at every wedding. Yeah, it's really fantastic. And now I know you had requested a really unique cakes, so we've put a few different kinds in there. And as our final cake, we're going to try the Jamaican rum torte.
This is 3 layers of chocolate cake sprinkled with dark Jamaican rum syrup. It's layered with chocolate and mocha Bavarian. Really fantastic. You're not going to get something like that at every wedding. It's really nice. But again, if you want something unique, this is unique. Again, with a cake like this, especially because of the alcohol in it, I might recommend having a second cake, at least one other small cake that people can try if they don't want to have the alcohol. Yeah, this is a cake that is incredible, but it is not going to be to everyone's liking. Because the alcohol, again, you have a lot of people who just don't want to have alcohol in their desserts, so it is usually good to have another option. We can also make the same kind of cake, but without the Jamaican rum syrup. So you can have a cake that looks very similar and just doesn't have the alcohol flavoring. And then if you did want to try any other cakes or cupcakes, we also do our other cupcake flavors of cake are lemon, coconut, and almond. We have all of those cakes. And then we also have European meringue buttercream icing in raspberry, strawberry, Marionberry, lemon, tangerine, vanilla, espresso, praline, Belgian white chocolate, Belgian dark chocolate, and then a cream cheese icing. So if you have one of these cakes that again you really liked, but you didn't like the pairing with the frosting, or you didn't like the pairing with the filling, we have lots of other options as well. But again, we've given you a lot to try today. Do you have one that stood out for you that you really like? What about you? Well, what we'll do is, based on the ones that you said you really like, I'm going to give you a box with the 3 cakes that overall you like the best. You can take it home. I know it's a lot of cake to taste at once, so sometimes it helps in narrowing down what you think you want to sort of, we'll narrow it down to 3 right now that you like, and you can take those home and do another tasting on your own when you're not quite so full from cake. And then you can taste that at your leisure. And if you do, again, want to try a different pairing after the second tasting, I'd be happy to do another full tasting with you with some other options. And then we can again talk about borders and talk about tiering. And if you did want to discuss bridal shower, Mom, you and I can discuss that, and we'll take it from there. Well, I'm so glad you guys could come in today. I'm so glad that we were able to set this up for you, and I'm glad you found cakes that you like. And I will get your box together, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Okay. Take care.